This
Um,
conference will now be recorded.
where do you guys have sarcoidosis?
Sandy, you want to go now?
I have it in my lungs and my lymph nodes. Yeah. Um, I'm doing pretty well for some sarcoidosis. I started a new med, so I have to give myself mirror shots now. I was really worried about it, but it actually not so bad at all. No, it's just this little pen and it doesn't even hurt. But we know just the idea of giving myself a shot kind of freaked me out. But I do feel a whole lot better. I have to tell you, my body
What's
got no pain. It's
what's the name of the medication again?
Humira,
Oh,
Humira.
Humira, right.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that's going on with me. I'm having a pretty good year.
Good to hear.
Yeah,
And how long have you had it?
since 2016. Well, I was diagnosed in 2016, but I had it for at least a couple years before that. It took a while to get diagnosed. I just knew something wasn't right, but my symptoms were so vague and so many different things. I didn't know what was wrong with me. So many things that it wasn't. So
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a process of elimination. Did they
yeah.
do any look back and try and figure out what might have brought it on?
No, I don't have any idea. I mean, it runs in my family, so they just assume it's genetic.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, this is a really terrible thing to say, but I really get a lot out of attending these meetings because I feel so much better when they're over because it could be so much worse. Terrible thing to
Right.
say, but there's so many
I,
people who are much worse than me. It makes me feel better about my situation.
yes, it could be worse. Thank God it's not.
Yeah.
But stay vigilant.
Hmm.
Um, so, all right, let's move on to Susie. Susie, how are you doing?
Hello, hello. So for the recording, I want to state that it is Thursday, July 15th. We're having our support group meeting here with Kevin moderating. And life is not boring, I will tell you. And Jennifer, I totally get the ups and downs with the mood and not knowing who it's safe to discuss it with because not everybody can handle us talking about that. Um, on top of sarcoidosis, I've been having, well, we had a house fire on Sunday. I moderated a Sark social on Saturday, so that was really good. And then Sunday we had a house fire, and it's a small house fire, but it's bad enough that we're in a hotel now while all the repairs are done. And so that's been something else. And as far as the sarcoidosis, okay, I think I'm gonna put you down. You guys can go play. Um, it's really interesting. So my daughter was really worried about me because since the fire investigator said it was okay to sleep in the house, my daughter didn't agree, but she's not a pushy person. And so we ended up sleeping there. And the next morning I woke up feeling absolutely horrible. So then my daughter's like, Mom, I really want you to go see your doctor. So I finally got in to see her today and she said everything looked and sounded great. She did a chest x-ray. I haven't gotten the results from that yet. So I'm in this weird sarcoidosis area now where nothing shows up on my scans, but my doctors know it's systemic for me because it affects my calcium and vitamin D levels. And I definitely don't feel well. Um, but I guess according to my scans, it looks like I'm in remission. But I've still got all my neurological issues. So the neurologists are still treating me for all of my neurological problems. So it's a mixed bag. There's good stuff and bad stuff. So I guess that's just how life works, right?
Yep. You take the good with the bad and count your blessings when you can.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sarcoidosis is very, very complicated. And I'm always surprised at how many things happen with sarcoidosis, or simply because we have a disease that affects so many parts of our body, that you don't need to biopsy every single part to know that it's coming from sarcoid. You just know because it's acting the same way, because it happened right after you had a flare. And that's essentially how they put the two and two together.
Yeah, I would agree with you that listening to your body and understanding when they're having a flare up, um, and then when you get some symptom downstream of that, it's pretty obvious to you that it's related. But at the end, it doesn't matter. You got to live your life, and you know it's going to show up where it shows up. So that's. I'm sorry to hear about your fire. Been there, done that. Got the T-shirt and tagged with Sparky.
Oh goodness.
With all my neighborhoods. It was a 4th of July thing about 15 years ago, and we had a bunch of fireworks, and I put them into a trash can at the end of the night because fortunately they really stunk. So I didn't want to put them in the garage, which was right under the master bedroom. I put them out in the shed. And about 4 hours later, the shed was ablaze and
Oh no.
almost took the whole house with it. But we were very fortunate. Dodged the
Wow.
bullet there. But yeah, the whole smoke and the odor, and there was a lot of water damage to the house when they pulled the fire hoses in, just in case the fire broke through. Yeah, it was a lot of work to recover from all that. So I'm glad you made the choice to get into a hotel room because you don't want to be in that environment.
Thank you.
So a little about myself. I've had sarcoidosis. I was diagnosed in 2010. I had a lump in my right ring finger, which was interfering with my golf game. So something had to go. And they did a biopsy, and that was the first sign that the medical team had that there was something amiss. My hand doctor couldn't believe it was sarcoidosis. Sent the biopsy team off to redo their work because it couldn't possibly be. And it came back, and then we did a lung biopsy, and sure enough, there it is. I had a very good relationship with sarcoidosis for about 10 years, where it was in my lungs, it was in my lymph nodes, and my interstitial tissue. That's how it got down to my hand, but had no medication for it. So it was not affecting my eyes, ears, heart, any vital organs. So they just let it go, monitor it every 2 years. And in January of 2020, I had a motor vehicle accident, and things got crazy. When I went to the hospital 2 days later, because I was like very fatigued and the pain got worse and worse each day, I was in atrial fibrillation, and my heart rate was about 190, and they were, obviously that's the first thing they need to address. About 6 weeks later, I went through and had an ICD implanted during the front end of the pandemic. 2 weeks later, I had a PET scan that confirmed I had cardiac sarcoidosis. And now they got to treat it. I went on a heavy dose of steroids for most of 2020 through about late October. Then I started tapering. They tried methotrexate as a steroid sparing agent, and I had liver problems with it. And then they took about 8 weeks to find a new medication to spare the steroids, the prednisone. And I ended up with Cellcept, which is a cancer drug. And I've been taking that ever since. And a couple of scans later, by December of 2020, my heart was clear and they had declared remission. And I have been kind of going with it, and things have started to get better. But 2020 was a really bad year for me. I had severe depression, chronic fatigue, lots of cognitive issues, to the point where I got applied for or was granted disability in August. So it was a tough year, but things are looking up, and every day is getting better. So I'm hopeful, vigilant, but grateful for my current set of circumstances. So I really understand when you talk about mental health challenges. Looking back on it, I probably had some version of depression for probably 8 years. When my sarcoidosis was, it would get active. It affects the brain chemistry with the process, and didn't understand it and was too judgmental and proud and misinformed about what depression is. And it was really it took until 2020 before I really dealt with it head on. And I have a good psychiatrist on my team who's helped me through that. And really happy to say that I've been tapering off a lot of my medications in the past 6 months. And I'm down to 2 milligrams a day of prednisone. Tapering very slowly, but hope to be off of it by the end of August. And then we'll see where it goes from there. So it's been a long, strange trip. But it's, I'm hopeful that the worst is behind me and I can, live a full life for the next 30 years. I'm too young to throw the towel in right now. So every day is a blessing, and I try to keep my spirits up, do a lot of meditation. Had the extra energy lately to exercise more, and that's been very helpful and like a positive feedback. So that's what's up with me. I've had the last 4 weeks I've been down in Florida, staying at a friend's house, and it's been a great break for me to get away, get a new environment. Weather hasn't been great. It's been raining every day and buggy, but it's something different. So that's what's up with me.
Kevin, your story sounds a lot like my dad's story. He was diagnosed with pulmonary sarc, and he went for many years, and they didn't do anything to treat it. And he ended up with cardiac sarc too. And I wonder, if they had treated the disease, given you some sort of therapy during those 10 years, if you would have ended up with cardiac sarc. You have to wonder in hindsight.
Yeah, I'm convinced that my cardiac sarcoidosis came from the motor vehicle accident. It was a pretty good impact. I was stationary. I was rear-ended by an SUV, which was much heavier than my sedan, and really concussed my heart and stressed my whole thoracic region. And I believe the sarcoidosis was primed, mostly due to poor choices in diet. And between the diet and the accident, that's what caused the flare up.
Yeah.
That's my theory. I wish I could prove it, because it'd be worth $1 million in a lawsuit, but I can't get a doctor to testify to that. So it is what it is. I'll get whatever out of the head, neck, back, and shoulder injuries, but I really have been unsuccessful trying to convince anyone other than myself that it was related to the accident. And where I'm at right now, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because I am getting my health back, and that's what was most important.
See, and I had no trauma. Nothing. So
Yeah. They're every year they learn more about this. About a month ago, we had my pulmonologist on this support group call, and he talked about sarcoidosis and the decision to treat and what they know. And then we just had an open Q&A session for about an hour. It was really good. That's also recorded and posted. And if you need a link, I can help you with that as well. I'm always looking for new information and new points of view to help me advocate for myself and manage this for myself.
Yeah, that was a really good meeting. And so was the FSR Sarcoidosis Summit. That was really good. I feel like I've gotten
Yeah,
a lot of good information this year.
I missed that. I was disappointed. I mismanaged my email and totally missed the.
Aw,
Yeah, I had
that's
heard
too
about that
bad.
after the fact. But yeah, FSR is doing a great job, and very grateful for what they do and some of the other, Bernie Mac Foundation, Life and Breath, um, like this support group. There's people out there that are active and trying to, support our community and help advance the science.
It's true.
I have a course I'm taking on Saturday, which is it's a 10-week course, 4 weekends and a bunch of evenings, where my I don't know if it'll be approved, but there's a project associated with it. And what I have in mind right now is to develop a golf outing that would raise funds for sarcoidosis, for FSR, and pull in the community and the donations and have some fun. And I've been a lifelong golfer and very passionate about it. So I'm trying to pull together, something I love to do with doing some good. So that should be
That's
fun.
great.
Yeah. More on
I
that
look
later.
forward to your success. That'll be cool.
Come on out and play. It's not just for avid golfers. It's just for fun. But yeah, we'll see where that goes. It'll probably take a year or so to get it off the ground. But it's a passion project for me.
So where do you live, Kevin?
I live outside of Philadelphia in the suburbs, maybe 30 minutes out of downtown. Really nice area called Plymouth Meeting. We get 4 seasons, a lot of golf courses in the area. We can go skiing, we can go to the beach. So I kind of like that area. I like to call it the Jersey Shore. You go down the shore, even though it's east. How about you, Sandy? Where are you from?
Oh, I live in Dallas, Texas.
Dallas.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of business trips down to Houston and Dallas. I always loved it down there, especially in the winter. You go down there, it's nice and warm.
Yeah, it's nice in the winter. Summers aren't so good.
Yeah. That's why God created air conditioning. And I'm sorry, Susie, where are you out of?
I am in Utah. So my house is in Eagle Mountain. My hotel is in Lehigh. But we're probably going to be moving soon because I've had the long-term disability drama. After you've been on for so long, they don't want to keep paying it, so they find ways around it. They've decided they're paying me too much, so they sent me a bill for $40,000. They reduced my benefit. And so we're going to sell our house. We actually were going to list it yesterday, but the house fire has delayed things. And
Wow.
so we're thinking about moving to the Oregon coast because this area of Utah has gotten really, really expensive. They call it Silicon Slopes. All the tech companies are moving over here.
Oh,
We've
wow.
got a bunch of tech companies here now. So
Well, I'm sorry to hear about your disability. How long were you on it before they reevaluated it?
this time it's 4 years. And they're also redefining the word disability. So I go see one of their doctors on July 28th so that they can decide if I'm still disabled or not
Well,
under the
good
new
luck with that.
definition.
I
Thank
hadn't
you.
heard that.
Like,
Um,
how can they send you a bill for $40,000? That is ridiculous.
Yeah, not only did they send the bill, but they said, please send in your check by July 16th. And
Oh,
so I literally just laughed when I read it because,
yeah.
yeah, right. I don't have $40,000 in the bank. I could write you a bad check. Um, but I called them and they said, that's okay. We'll just keep half of your benefits every month until you're paid off.
Oh, lovely.
Isn't that nice of them?
Is
well,
that because they overpaid that way?
Yeah, they're claiming they did the math wrong.
So
really?
this is a private company or
Uh-huh.
security or
This is a
private
private company.
company? Oh, okay. That's too
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Because Social Security, you might have some influence with your congressman or something.
Yeah. No, this is just a corporation.
Oh, so you had disability insurance and you were
Hmm.
able to claim that, and then they came back and came after you. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds more like, welcome to America.
Yes.
Capitalism is great. Really?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm down here with a good friend, and um, she gets a lot out of these meetings. She has a whole different set of rare diseases, but has been on disability for 20 years and um, has battles every year when they redo the Medicare Part D. And, it's just ridiculous. I got my first taste of it actually this week because we decided to stay a couple of weeks longer, which means I need more medication, which is really important to keep me healthy. And so I just called the local CVS. I'm like, oh, I'd like this, and this, and this. And like, oh, we're sorry, your insurance isn't valid in Florida. And this one's going to be
Oh,
$800. This one's going to be $900. This one's going to be $600. I'm like, wait,
oh
what?
my goodness. So what'd you do?
I said, never mind. And I called my pharmacist in Pennsylvania, and they are going to be filling all my meds, and then I'll have my father go and pick them up and ship them down to me.
Wow.
And I get to save about $4,000 for 1 month of generic prescriptions. I'm like, this is crazy.
We have a broken system.
Yes, we do. And I've met a lot of people that would agree with that. And up until last year, I was on the other side of that argument, and now I get it. There's nothing like empathy to change your mind and
Yeah.
just feel some of it, and it's just crazy. I had this time last year, I had no shot at even thinking about working. I couldn't even get out of bed most days. I was just
Yeah.
just so fatigued, and I was trying to actually function, and my brain was so foggy and discombobulated that I would like try and send people emails with attachments, and they'd be like, "There's no attachment," and I would think in my mind that I actually done it. Or a week later, I would find a draft in my outbox that I'd never sent. Like I wrote it and I put the attachment on it, but I just never hit the send button. And on and
Yes.
on and on. Like I don't know where I filed that document. And like I used to be an executive with Siemens. I can't even do email now. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
No,
How
I
far
get
you could
it.
fall. Yeah, and it was all in the course of 3 months. It was all going on. So yeah, it's really something.
I've gotten late fees on bills because I thought I paid them, but there was one last button you're supposed to click on the computer that didn't get clicked. And
Yeah.
it's like, really? I didn't pay that? Oh. So frustrating because every penny counts, you know, and then you have
Oh, yeah.
late fees. Yeah.
Yep. Just one more insult.
Yes.
I see now you guys are making me not want to join in because
Uh-oh.
I, I get fatigued, but then I drink caffeine so that I can still work 6 days a week, so that I can get the overtime, so that I can still pay my mortgage. Because I thought that my state was going to save us. And I paid all my other bills when my husband lost his job from COVID, and I couldn't pay the mortgage. Well, the state didn't save us. So I have now going to have to refinance and basically have another loan to pay off all the stuff I couldn't pay. And the overtime is the only reason that we still have a roof over our head. So maybe desperation makes it a little easier for me. But I just do whatever it needs to be done. And I've always done that. I just can't fail. It's not something that's possible for me. I'm the person people go to. I'm the person people depend on. So failure is not an option in any case. I've even told my son that I will live to be 80 just so he doesn't have to worry about it. And I hope to God I'm right.
You
I
might,
hope I
Mike.
make it that long. I might, and I hope to
My
God I'm
money's
right.
on you. My money's on you.
Mike,
uh,
or
I mean,
84.
I do have the pain and all that, but see, I can't do anything about it um, because all the drugs that they gave me for pain, you can't work with. Like, once upon a time, they gave me Vicodin, and all it did was, well, it did give me like a jump where I could move a little faster, unlike putting people to sleep, like I guess it does for some. But it didn't get rid of my pain. And then after I stopped taking it, I realized it was causing some pain that it
Wow.
had created. And it took me another 6 months after that for it to be completely out of my system. So I stopped getting any kind of pain treatments. And as silly as this is, I've gone with the theory of like when you're in labor, they tell you to do breathing,
Huh?
you know. Or my aunt, she told me, concentrate on relaxing your toes and then your feet and so forth. And I realize that that's all about distraction. And that is how I control most of my pain that can't be controlled. Because I also have fibromyalgia. I concentrate on something so totally that the pain gets drowned out.
Gotcha.
Sometimes it's very difficult and sometimes it's easy, but all of it drains me. So usually by the time I get home, which is the only part I can say is similar to what you guys are going through, when I get home, I can't do a damn thing for anybody. I can't be nice to my family. I can't spend time doing things that normal people would do. Can't take care of my house. I can't cook. All I can do is relax and wait for the pain to stop so that I can sleep. So that's pretty much my story there.
Yeah. I can relate to that story so much. Before I went on disability, and hey, I just because I went on doesn't mean it's ever going to happen to you. You sound really strong, and hopefully that's going to continue working for you. But before I went on disability, I got to the point where all I did was work and rest because there was no strength or energy left over for socializing or doing anything fun with my friends or family or anything like that. But then when I ended up going on disability is when, okay, I was showing up at work most days, but instead of doing my job, I was going and laying down in the and there was a quiet room. And I was supposed to be doing casework, but I couldn't do casework because I had to go rest from just talking to that last customer. And so, yeah, yeah, I hear what you're talking about, Jennifer.
It sounds like when I was pregnant with my son. I
Oh,
felt that was
really?
most of the time. Yeah, that is the only pregnancy thing that I got, was he made me exhausted the whole time. But other than that, he turned out good.
Go
But yeah,
ahead.
I know what I do. I spend all of my spoons at work because nobody else cares about the elderly. Their families care, some of them, but they're not there, and they need the positive from me because they can't get it from everybody else. But then, of course, when I get home, the littlest thing makes me lose my temper, or makes me cry, or makes me upset over nothing. And that's what I mean by depression. I mean, not like, suicidal or anything, but just not having the ability to control your emotions all the time. Like you should be able to,
And
within reason.
could part of that be that you're just plain tired?
I still sleep like 9 hours a night. I put in the extra hours to sleep since
Yeah.
I'm working the extra day. But see, I like to move too. When I'm working, never mind the emotional toil. When I'm working, I feel better. Like as long as I'm still moving my joints, even if they hurt, they'll still work. And I see what happens when you get old and you stop moving. You literally lose the ability to use those joints. They swell up, they freeze, and then that's
Yeah,
it. And I'm afraid if I ever slowed down, that's what would happen to me.
that makes sense. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad you know what works for you, Jennifer. That's awesome.
All right. So what else? What else is going on? What are any other challenges? Anything else we want to talk about? I mean, we have another 45 minutes if we choose to.
Well, how is COVID affecting you guys in your areas?
For
Like
me,
what do you got to do? Masks or unmasks or what?
uh, for I'm in Pennsylvania, they had an extended lockdown. When they started to ease, they still had the mask requirements up until recently, and there's talk about them coming back depending on how the cases develop. Down here in Florida, it's like there's no pandemic at all in Southwest Florida, and nobody's wearing, almost no masks, no restrictions, dining's no problem, full capacity. So it's kind of weird how different it is between Florida and Pennsylvania for me.
Utah's a lot like Florida. So we have to wear masks in the doctor's offices. Well, actually, I guess it's certain doctor's offices, not all of them. Some doctor's offices have you wear masks. Some of them don't. But when you're out and about, nobody is wearing a mask. And that's very interesting because we're having a huge outbreak of the Delta variant here.
Wow.
And so I feel like the only person in Utah wearing a mask when I go out. I'm very careful about
That's
wearing a
smart
mask.
because that is not something you want, even if you've been vaccinated.
Yeah.
So I had a very long conversation with my doctor about the vaccination. And since I'm on an immune suppression medication, as most of us are, it's not always certain that the vaccine is going to be effective. You may or may not. I had no reaction. No fatigue, no pain, no headaches, nothing. It was like, just getting the flu shot. So I'm a little concerned that my immune suppression did too good a job, and that I'm actually not protected. So I'm.
I listened to a webinar where a doctor was talking about what evidence they have based on different drugs, and I think Cellcept was one of them. That they said it reduced the effectiveness of the shot. Yeah, and taking Cellcept. So I think that you should be concerned. They said
Still being careful. I'm not going. Not going to any sporting events, any high density, whatever. But I'm still trying to live my life.
Yeah, I think they said it was prednisone and Cellcept.
Oh, I was on both.
I know. I do believe that's what I heard, and
Yes.
I remember. Well, the ones they said, the rest of them I'm not sure about but they're sure of those two. That not that it doesn't have, it reduces the effectiveness of the vaccine.
Right.
But it doesn't.
And if you do get COVID, it's good to have been exposed to the vaccine because you probably won't have as bad a reaction or bad infection.
But yeah, I think it was like it reduced it somewhere around 45 or 50% or something like that. Anyway, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
It just makes me wonder if you should take meds for a couple of weeks, get vaccinated, and go back on.
So I was an early adopter. I got my vaccines in February and March of, I guess, this year, yeah. And so we were part of the first group to get it, and I had asked my rheumatologist if he thought I should reduce or stop taking medication, and he's like, no, it's probably riskier to stop the medication with your sarcoidosis than to get the vaccine with it. But I don't know what the right answer was. And it doesn't matter now because it's in the past. Can't do anything about it.
Yeah, we might be good candidates for the boosters, though.
Yes.
This fall.
Yeah, well, especially if I can. By August, I should be off of the prednisone completely.
Yeah.
And if my heart scan is still clear, I may be able to start weaning off the dosage of the Cellcept. That's all in the future. We'll see how it develops.
Well, here in Illinois, some towns make you wear a mask just in, federal buildings. It really depends from city to city. But in general, the mask mandate is gone. I've never had COVID or any of the variants. And pretty much since it started last year, I've been wearing an N99 mask, which I change out, when it's reached its max hours. And it's decorative because they come in colors. And it's hot, because I'm in a nursing home area, it's hotter in those buildings. So it's hot to wear the mask all day. But I found that and just being, what you would think you should do. Wash your hands, don't touch surfaces like it's flu season, Be careful. Yep. I've followed those practices and kept myself distant from people regardless of, I shop at Costco. There's got to be 300-400 people in there. I just try to keep as much distance as I can. You do the best you can, but I'm not going to get vaccinated because I've never tried any drug that was brand new. My mom had a lot of bad things happen because she had medication that was brand new that didn't work out well for her and a lot of other people. So I've made a practice of not trying anything that hasn't been tested fully. In 2023, they'll be done with all the trials, and I may reevaluate at that point, because then I'll know what they would know if this wasn't a pandemic, the way they normally do things. But I still feel safe, regardless of the Delta variant, because even just doing those things like I am will keep you safe, you
Yeah.
know. So
Now,
annoying, but it works,
did you have any crisis during the pandemic working in a elderly care facility?
Well, let's see. We had, I'd say probably about 50, maybe 60 employees get COVID.
Wow.
I had 3 residents that died after COVID.
Mm.
Uh, and then we had, we had outbreaks. It actually took a lot longer for us to get them than other facilities, which makes me feel proud, because obviously it had something to do with the housekeeping.
Right, right. Were
But
they sending sick patients to your facility?
no, it just, visits, people from the outside coming in. It wasn't our internal staff so much as it was, outside providers coming in. I actually watched a doctor walk into the nursing home, try to sign herself in, and I said, "You need to wear a mask." And she said, "I need to sign this in and see a patient." And I said, "I don't care. You need to wear a mask." And she ignored me, so I reported her. Things like that happened because people didn't understand the seriousness of
Right.
COVID and how it spread, and until it spread. But yeah, I believe we have a Delta at our facility finally now.
Mm.
But as I said, I feel safe. I'll be going in that building Saturday. I'll be tested Monday, because we get tested once a month if we're not vaccinated. That'll probably change soon and go back to everybody gets tested every week. But it's all unpredictable, really.
Right. Right.
I see, you see patterns, and I've looked up stuff. I cheat. I don't just use Google. I use DuckDuckGo, and I say I want to see what happens in the United Kingdom, so I get all their news and other countries, and I look and see what's actually happening from direct sources. So
Yeah.
I kind of knew it was coming, and it's producing cold-like symptoms, not the usual, probably because it's a variant,
Right.
and it does get past some of the vaccines, because it found a way around the way that vaccines work, but not all of them. I think Pfizer was one of the ones that they were still having people, a better percentage of people not getting it. And then there's the people who've already had COVID and think because they've had COVID that they're safe because they have natural immunity. This Delta new variant, it gets past that too.
It's like catching another cold. Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
it is. It's actually more similar to how the cold spreads than how the flu spreads. Probably, it's a coronavirus, so it makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
And it mutates the same way, very quickly. It finds ways around the things that, and that's why I feel safe with what I'm doing, because it's common sense. It doesn't need to change or evolve or come up with a new formula. It's just basic and simple. Keep my
Yep.
mouth covered, keep my hands clean, don't touch my face, and I'm good.
Yep. Don't get too close to people. All right. Well, I for one, I think it was a good call. We only had the 4 of us, so I think we're I feel like I was heard. I think everyone had a chance to speak. So if there's last call, otherwise I think we have a shot to close this up and get a half hour of our lives back. Everyone in agreement with that?
Yes.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
Okay. Well, thank you. You guys be safe. And we hope to see you first Tuesday of next month.
Have a good night, everyone.
Night.
Good luck to everyone.